Okay. 70% of students missed this question, so let's make sure that we read all the way through and carefully. So Nicholas has $650 to deposit into two different savings accounts. Nicholas will deposit $400 into account 1, which earns 3.5% annual simple interest. He will deposit $250 into account 2, which earns 3.25% interest compounded annually. Nicholas will not make any additional deposits or withdrawals. Which amount is closest to the total balance of these two accounts at the end of 2 years? So going over these questions to make sure that we read it carefully. Nicholas deposits how much into account 1? So right here, 400 into account 1. And that earns simple interest of 3.5% per year. He deposits $250 into account 2. That earns compound interest of, it says 3.25, but I'm going to go ahead and change that to a decimal. The interest is compounded annually. You are to find the total balance of account 1 and account 2 after 2 years. So for account 1, it says it is simple interest. So I'm going to use my formula chart here and write the simple interest formula, which is I equals PRT, and list all of those, including A for account balance, underneath that formula. So we don't know the interest earned. Principal is what we start off with, so 400. Our rate is 3.5%. But remember, we do have to have that as a decimal, so we have to move that over to the left twice, so 0.035, and the time in years is 2 years. So reread this last sentence. Which amount is closest to the total balance of these two accounts? So it's wanting us to find the total balance of both accounts. So I'm going to circle or box in account balance so I know at the end that's what I'm trying to find. So if I use these numbers and plug them in to the formula, so I can go ahead and pull up Desmos and plug in that section there. So 400 times 0.035 times 2. Our interest earned is 28. So in your brain dump, you should have written A equals I plus P, which means the account balance is the interest earned plus the principal from the beginning. So we're going to do 400 plus 28 comes out to 428. So then we have account 2, which says it's compounded annually. So again, I'm going to pull out my formula chart. Compounded annually, A equals P 1 plus R to the power of T. And again, I'm going to list everything. So I, P, R, T, and A. So it did say total balance, so I know I am looking for A at the end of this. So P for account 2 is 250. Our rate we said was 3.25, but remember we have to use the decimal form. And our time was 2 years. So 250, 1 plus 0.032, I'm going to run out of room, to the power of 2, which we can type in here. So 250 times 1 plus 0.0325. And we're going to do to the power of 2. And that does give us A. So I'm going to write 266.51. So then I'm going to come here and it says the total balance of the 2 accounts. So we want to add 428 and 266 together. So 428 plus 266.52 comes out to 694.51, which would be D. Okay, moving on to number 1. Keegan deposits $500 into an account that earns 2.3% simple interest. He also deposits $400 into an account that earns 2.5% interest compounded annually. Keegan will not make any additional deposits or withdrawals. Which amount is closest to the total balance of these 2 accounts at the end of 5 years? So again, we have account 1 that he deposits $500 into, that earns 2.3 interest, simple interest. So we know we are using that formula. And we can write everything out. And we know it says it's asking for the total balance, so we are going to use A, and then we can fill it out. So he deposits $500. Remember to move your decimal over twice. And the time is 5 years. So 500 times that. So again, we can type that in. So 500 times 0.023 times 5. And that is 57.5 for the interest earned. But remember, we want the account balance, so we do have to add that back to the 500. So it is 557.5 for account 1. Account 2, he deposits $400 and it earns 2.5% interest compounded for 5 years. So it is compound, so we are using that formula. So A, P, R, T, and then I. We are looking for A. So our principal is 400. Our rate is 0.025, and our time is still 5 years. There we go. Sorry about that. And then we're just filling this in. So 1 plus 0.025 to the power of 5. So we pull Desmos back up and we can type that in. 400, 1 plus 0.025 to the power of 5, and that gives us 452.56, and we do have to add the two account balances up to get our total for both accounts. So 452.56 plus 557.50 is 1,010.06. So A. Okay, as we can move on to number 2 here. Mr. Jenkins deposits 1,250 into account. He made no additional deposits or withdrawals. Mr. Jenkins earned 4.25 annual simple interest on money in the account. What was the balance in dollars and cents? So we're looking for the balance at the end of 4 years. So it's simple interest. So we are using I equals PRT. It does say he wants the balance in the account, which means we are looking for A, which means we have to add the principal back with the interest at the end. So then we plug everything in. Principal of $1,250, your rate in decimal form, and the time of 4 years. So we can pull up Desmos here and plug in our formula. So 1,250 times 0.0425 times 4 years. So our interest earned is 212.5, and we have to add that back to our principal, which comes out to 14.62 and 50 cents. And then just do problems 3, 4, and 5 on your own.